We are officially recording, yay! So hello everybody, welcome to Informative Correlation, where we strive to sit down with medical, health, fitness, and wellness professionals in a casual roundtable setting and talk. I'm nervous, people, I'm nervous. Our main focus will be controversial topics in the health and wellness industry. I'm Jade Lacazio, the founder of Informative Correlation and the owner and operator of Certified Nutritional Counseling and Wellness Practices. Today we're going to be talking about supplementation. Before I introduce our guest speakers, I want to make it perfectly clear that CNCWP does not endorse and is not sponsored by any specific supplement brands or companies. If you like what you hear, or if an opinion strikes a chord with you, you should absolutely pursue that topic further on your own and speak with your doctor prior to making any change in your diet or supplementation regimen. All right, so let's introduce our guest here. We have Ali Bashand. Did I say that right? Bashand, right?
Yes, Bashand.
Yes, and she's a gut health guru. That's what I've deemed her. She's been studying health and wellness for the last 7 years. In the last 2 years, she's really zoned in on gut health, right?
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. And on the bottom there, we have Matthew Main, who's a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor. He's been that for 10 years, and he's been a health and wellness advocate for 15 years. So thank you for being with us, Matt.
Sounds about right. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about supplementation, right? I want to say that all three of us are pro supplementation. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I definitely am. But as I've begun studying this in my field of practice, and as I've really dived into this area, because all my clients are wanting something other than just their diet. You know, everybody wants that magic pill, essentially, that does it, or that magic powder, or that pre-workout that makes you the Hulk type of deal, right?
The cure-all, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's looking for that. And I was that for a long time too. In high school and everything, I was taking, like, I'm just going to say it, garbage supplements like Lipo-6 and Hydroxycut. You know what I mean? Like, and the ones to where you're like, I'm pretty sure I have permanent heart and liver damage now, but that's fine. It's totally fine, you know? So I think that if people wake up to what's in those supplements, then we'll have a better turnaround altogether. I will say, and I think you guys would agree, there's no magic anything. It's a combination of regimen, routine, discipline, what you eat, what you put in your body. I go so far as what you surround yourself with, your mental state. So
100%.
I think it's a combination of all those things. So before we get started, before I start asking you guys questions, I just want to define for the people, because we're going to have so many people watching this, what a supplement actually is, right? So a supplement is not a drug. A drug is something that the FDA has approved by doing clinical trials on humans, not on animals. It has to be done on humans, and all of the issues that come along with that drug have to be stated before it can be put on the market. Okay, so that's the rule for a drug. Now, the difference with a supplement, and this is from the US Department of Health, they've deemed it something taken by mouth, which is funny, something taken by mouth, and it's made to supplement the diet. It has to have one or more dietary ingredients, and they are labeled as being dietary supplements. Supplements do not have to be FDA cleared, which is super sketchy, super sketch, because literally anybody in a hut in Africa could put something in veggie capsules. You can get veggie capsules at Michael's, right? And have an Amazon account and be selling it to you and saying that it's this wonderful cure for acne or whatever, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's terrifying. So I'm hoping we're going to shed some light on sources of supplements, sources of foods. I think the biggest reason why people supplement in the US is because the quality of the food in the United States is so poor. And I'm just going to compare that to Europe. I promise that you guys are going to talk. I just need to get this. You're just like, shut up, Jade. I want to say something. I just want to compare that to Europe. So 60%, and Matt, I wonder what you feel about this as a personal trainer. 60% of the United States is clinically obese.
60%, is that being conservative?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I feel like, you know, the obesity disease that we have in America, you know, it really stems from childhood to adulthood. You know, it doesn't just start when maybe, you know, you graduate school and start working full time and just get out of shape. You know, how many of our kids now are obese? I mean, I was overweight when I was young.
Me too. Yeah, at a certain point.
Yeah, and it really was. It was just a personal journey. You know, I can't remember a class I had K through 12 that was, here's what to eat, here's what not to eat, here's how you get fat, here's how you control your weight. You know, here's here's how you build muscle, here's how you stay active.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's a lot of good things we can take from the European culture. Portion control is one of them. I mean, you know, a supersized menu item. Why do we have supersized menu items? Why
Why
are
do you have
people
supersized
eating,
anything?
why do we have 2,000 calorie meals? You know, even athletes, you know, they limit their calories. You know, granted they're in the thousands as well, but yeah, it's sad, to be honest. But I feel like we're waking up as far as, and you look at how many organically owned shops are opening up that are selling food organically grown, and yeah, with everything there's good and bad. You know, people trying to take advantage. To go back into your supplement comment about the FDA not regulating supplements. You know, that's room for exploitation, and there's a reason the supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's unregulated. So you have all these products that show flashy models and dudes with biceps this big, and you know, they're like, take this, look like this. Meanwhile, there's 100,000 supplements that are the same thing with a different label. And it really gets murky. And it's really nice that you're even addressing this, because a lot of people, to be honest, probably don't have the bandwidth to do their own research. It's a lot.
Yeah, well, it is. It's overwhelming, right? It's totally overwhelming. I was asking Allie, so Allie, like I had said, she's a gut health guru. So anytime I've had GI issues for a long time, and it was because of diet or because of the supplements that I was taking, I didn't realize mess with everything. I mean, it's an overall, your body is a machine, right? If one area is being affected, something else is going to be affected. It's just a give and take all around. So I was asking Allie, you know, like, how do I fix this type of thing? And what she kept telling me was, it's the source of your supplement. The source of your supplement is so important. So yeah, I'm excited to be addressing this. I'm really excited to hear what Allie has to say about gut health. Allie, what do you think about, in general, let's say, like, if you could put a percentage on the American population, how many people do you think are unbalanced in their gut health?
I mean, like 90%.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like so many people don't even know that gut health is a thing, and how it can even be impacted, and how impacted it is even by the foods that we're eating. I feel like people forget the fact that, like, we are fueling our bodies with what we're putting into it. Like, therefore, if you're eating crap, you're going to feel like crap. You're going to get crap. You're going to have a crappy mood. It's all connected, and your gut is like your own little pharmacy, really, because it has the ability. Your body was designed to feel good, but there's so many outside elements and factors in the standard American diet, which is just a joke, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So it contributes to it, and it just throws things out of whack, and there's so much imbalance happening, and it shows up in all different areas of our bodies and our lives, different issues.
Yeah, definitely. I would go so far to say as like teenagers with severe acne type of deal. That's me. Your body trying to get rid of toxins, essentially. Yeah. It's
if
not
I
just buildup.
Potato chips and given my body a chance to like figure out what was happening, you know. Yeah. But like I said, I feel like people just don't know, because it's not taught. It's not something that's taught, because it's, I mean, if you ask me, it's all about money, and it's just it's almost disgusting to me the way it is. You know, I mean, Jade, you know, I lost my brother last year to cancer. He was 30 years old. Like, he was 30, and I mean, I know what he ate growing up, and we kind of went our own ways as far as like our diet and our lifestyle choices. And I mean, I'm not saying this is why and things like that, but it made me dive deeper into gut health, and it made me dive deeper into the quality of things going into my bodies, going into my children's bodies. I feel like all we can do is continue to educate people and hope that they wake up. You know?
I know. Please just do it. I know. So this is going to strike home with both of you. And I was just thinking of a really good point when you were saying that about the social impact of eating. You were talking about being raised and what we think is normal, right? I'm Italian. My father's Italian. My mom was a Southern girl. So the food was always fried or pasta or, you know, very rich food. In one sitting, you're easily consuming 3,000 calories, right? So of course I'm looking for that magic pill. Like, why is this happening to me? Let me just take this and I can eat all the pasta I want. But I was researching in Europe, and it's crazy to me that European law does not allow, crazy in a good way, they don't even allow preservatives in their food because they banned it as unsafe. It's unsafe. They're like, why would we put this in our food for our people? It's crazy. So I found this statistic that really blew my mind, and we're going to get back to supplementation, but it starts with food, right? So secondary health conditions associated with obesity in America are predicted to bankrupt the healthcare system in the next 10 years. What? What? Like why are we not seeing this? You know what I mean? Why are we not addressing this? So they're talking about chronic illnesses like cancer, food allergies, diabetes. They did list autism as a chronic illness. Allie, that might hit a chord with you. It does with me as a mother of an autistic son. I don't view that as a chronic illness, but I do understand what they're trying to say. I do understand this is the American Cancer Society. They're trying to say that these ailments are caused by or worsened by poor nutrition or poor supplementation, right? So looking at these statistics, it's no wonder that so many health and fitness advocates or gurus turn to supplementation. That's why I turn to supplementation. I'm not getting what I need in my diet. I'm going to take an omega and a CLA supplementation, right? But what we are not understanding is we could be doing our body much more harm by taking certain supplements than doing good. For example, St. John's wort. If you take St. John's wort and you're on certain medications, it can thin your blood and you can just start passing out in random spots, right?
There's so many of that like I was doing the ashwagandha for a while, but you can't do that when you have like, you know, your certain testosterone levels. Like that really, it like messed me up. And I was like, whoa, I had to like put it down. And I mean, but it can work well for other people. I feel like everyone is so different that it's frustrating when people won't do their own research, you know, because what works for me might not work very well for you and things like that. Like not even knowing about like testosterone levels and things like that and how it was affecting me. I was like, wow, that like really kind of messed me up and I had to stop taking it, you know?
Yeah. And what's concerning about ashwagandha is it's a calming herb, right? It's used for anxiety and to help you focus. I'm diagnosed, I'm proud to say it, with an anxiety disorder. So I was trying everything, right? I would exercise as much as I could to exhaust myself so I wouldn't be so anxious all the time. So I started ashwagandha when I was on a previous medication, not knowing that if you take an herbal supplement while you're on a medication, narcotic or not, for anxiety, you can overdose. Like you can put yourself into a coma type of deal. Like this is serious stuff. And people are just taking whatever they see on Amazon or whatever they see at CVS, because like Matt had said, there's all this advertising and there's this image to it. You know, it's so promising looking. And some of the studies or the websites look so promising. I want to tell you about this, Matt. I was looking up on the, I think it was the FDA website yesterday, the list of tainted supplements is what they call it.
Oh, so, yeah. There's a lot to unpack there.
Oh my goodness. So essentially, I just looked at page 1. I have notes. Look, my notes are literally like, WTF, like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, I like the passion.
Yeah, I was was me in bed last night, like yelling at the wall, right? So I'm looking at this and this is funny, majority of supplements sold in the United States that are tainted are sexual enhancement or weight loss. It's crazy because I used to take weight loss supplements like nobody's business. I was eating them like candy, right? Yeah. And this says, I found one, it's called Shia Linder. It's from various distributors. So if you want to email me and you sell this, go for it. You're not going to get a response, but you can try. But the product is called Shia Linder. And what they put inside of it was sibutramine and fluoxetine. Fluoxetine is Prozac.
Yeah.
It's freaking Prozac.
So let me get into why I guess I'm not as surprised.
Yeah.
So you know, I will put on my chemical engineer hat real quick.
Yes.
So I'm very familiar with pharmaceutical production, biomanufacturing, things like that, and the FDA. And there's a big argument right now, specifically with drug testing agencies in sports, right? And I just want to give you an example and how this all correlates and works together. But some athletes were testing positive for steroids, right? Big surprise, right?
Right.
Meanwhile, the athletes are like, I swear I'm not taking anything. Like there's no way. I've been taking all the supplements my trainers they give me. So they'll lay out this giant panel of supplements, right? Maybe they're on creatine and some amino acids and things like that.
Right.
What they were finding is that even in something such as a creatine monohydrate, they're finding enough trace amounts that you would find in a drug steroid test panel.
That's
the same trace amounts in the actual product, right? And the main reason why is when you're running manufacturing processes like this, you're let's say you got Jade's manufacturing plant and we're making creatine, right? And maybe you make some anabolic steroid on the side because you have a manufacturing company, you want to make a bunch of products, right?
Right.
So what happens is in some of the cleaning and sterilization processes, just don't hit the 100% mark. And so you're cleaning out your big vats that you're using to make your product in, and there's trace amounts of leftover in there.
Right.
And to go back on to what you said earlier about, again, non-FDA regulated products. The good news is, so like that was kind of scary, right? Now it's like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to take, right?
Yeah.
I think the good homework to do and the light at the end of the tunnel with this is that is being noticed, especially within American USA manufacturing. A lot of supplements from other countries, China specifically, regulations are non-existent.
Right.
You can find, lead. I mean, there's a reason we would say lead was in paint, Chinese paint, right? Like, it would leach into our supplements as well. So what they're doing now, and what you can find on a lot of supplements is what they're doing. You can find you'll find made in the USA. That's a good start.
Yes.
I'm not saying that's the end all goal, but that's a good start.
Yeah.
From there, you can find, and this is all. I wish I had a product I could show you because that's kind of all I buy now are these types of products. So you can look for made in America, made in USA. You can look for made in a GMP facility. So GMP is a regulation, good manufacturing process. What that entails is basically you have a board that certifies you that says, oh, you're GMP compliant. So you meet the expectations to be a good manufacturer. So I think that's a bigger one than being made in the USA. But another, like the cherry on top is you can have FDA regulated manufacturing facilities.
Right.
So they're not regulating the actual product in the consumer hand, but they're regulating the process of how you get there and the quality of it.
Yeah.
So
that's just as important.
Yeah, exactly. So now you have more strict regulations that, for the most part, you're gonna get what you're buying, which is the light at the end of the tunnel for everyone wondering, like, well, where do I start? What kind of products do I get? And I will say that is what I would encourage people who have supplements now or they're taking things, look to find companies that participate with GMP compliance regulations. Even better if they have a FDA regulated facility. You can go so far to contact the manufacturer.
I mean, that's not difficult nowadays. Most of them,
it's a phone number.
I did that.
Yeah, they have customer service lines for a reason, and you can go there and be like, hey, I have this product. Here's the lot number. If you want to get wild with it, do you have a certificate of analysis for this product? Like,
you want to get wild with it?
Yeah, and it's all public, And again, that's getting crazy with people who are like, I just want to take creatine. I don't want to call the manufacturer.
Yeah, all the protein heads are like, I don't care. I just need my protein.
Yeah, but But maybe look into it a little bit. Maybe start caring, or just be open to questioning and being curious you would ask where your food comes from. So why wouldn't you ask where your supplements come from?
Yeah. Yeah. And to back that up again from the American Cancer Society, there's like 5 recommendations that they give to purchasing supplements in the US. And you essentially hit on majority of them. But they said, do not buy products that claim to work like prescription drugs. Like this will cure your back pain, or this will make you lose 20 pounds. You don't want to take anything that has any sort of like strong claim with it unless there's scientific research to back that up, right? And if it's a supplement, there's not scientific research to back that up.
So real quick, I worked in retail, and we were under very strict policy to be careful with how we would sell our supplements.
Right.
And there is certain language you could not use. You could not say this cures this. You could not say this fixes this. You'd say this maybe supports
or aids
this has been known to, or something like that. So and it's nice that some retail companies do that. I'm sure it's probably more for legal reasons than consumer, but at least
it's still nice.
It's still nice. It's still nice.
Another thing that some people might take this the wrong way, please don't, just take it at face value, but it says that do not buy products that are marketed mainly in a foreign language. And that goes back to what you were saying, Matt. That's because a lot of countries, like I said, Joe Schmo in a hut across the way could put whatever he wants in a capsule and sell it on Amazon. And he can market it and have this great, but if majority of it is marketed in a foreign language, that means that you don't know their restrictions. You don't know what the expectations are for that facility. You don't really know unless you dive into that, right? And you're sure of it.
That's the thing. I don't know if I would use that.
I know that's
that type of language, that pitch. Just because it's in a foreign language, don't buy it. But I would say do your homework. I would say you're probably more at risk buying a product in a language you can't read.
Exactly.
And doing your homework that way. But
the American Cancer Society really had some balls on that one. They're like, don't buy it if it's in Japanese.
PC was not on the mark.
So what do you think about that, Allie? We're talking about, the quality of supplements. And I know that you work with your own line. Again, I can't promote them, but you have been super successful. So I'm promoting you.
It's a GMP. They have their good manufacturing. I did a lot of research. I've always been a researcher. I've kind of studied the health and wellness for the past 7 years. And then when I really was kind of okay, I'm getting older. My body's not doing what it was. I clearly need to fill in the nutritional gaps, which is why I started supplementing. Having a daughter on the spectrum, I have kind of, earned that mom title, the crunchy mom, because, I don't let my kids eat crab. I don't let them eat goldfish. I don't let them eat Pop-Tarts. They take their vitamins every day. They take an omega every day. So for me, I really had to, I was the crazy person calling the company, figuring out okay, well, where's the citric acid coming from? How are you sourcing that? I was that person,
I love crazy people.
And I mean, to me, it's not crazy. I'm it's crazy to me that there's more people that aren't as invested in what's going into their body and the quality of it. Right. I mean, as far as it being in a different language, I mean, I only read one language, so I don't know if I think it would depend. I would have to do my research. I would very much so have to do my research. It would probably be harder for me, but I'd have to look into it.
And you see that a lot with things like turmeric or, it's more of the herbal or botanicals, right? Because they're claimed to be better if they're directly from the source, and majority of those sources are not in the United States, right? So then they get shipped here, and some people have been so clever as to, once they arrive in the US, translating the packaging. They have a company in the United States that will translate the packaging for them and then sell it. My only concern with that is because supplements are not FDA approved. My biggest quarrel with the supplement system here, I'm just going to say it, is that we can't do anything. Anybody can put a supplement on the market. I can make a magic potion, put it in a veggie capsule, and put it on the market. As long as I'm not claiming it cures your cancer or it cures your insomnia, I can sell it. And the only way that the FDA can do anything about that is if it starts having negative effect on people. So that's the system that I'm not really sure is the smartest. I would like that we were more inclined to Europe's case of action, which is if we don't know, we're definitely not going to sell it to people, you know, but in the United States, we have the concept of, well, let's put it out there. And if it starts killing people or if it starts causing cancer, then you can't sell it anymore. And a lot of those companies that have put out these supplements, like the one that have fluoxetine in it, they just get a warning or a slap on the wrist. There's no like jail time. There's nothing like that. And they're knowing what they're doing because they know the chemicals they put in their, you know, in their supplement. So I know I've shed a lot of light on the negative side, but I only want to say that because it's so important. The source of your supplement is so important. It's so, so, so important. So Allie, tell me, how do you find your quality supplements? What do you gauge when you're looking at supplements to take? What are some of the factors that are really important to you?
Like Matt said, you know, making sure they have the good manufacturing, like that was a huge thing for me. Obviously like the ingredients, you know, I know what my body needs because I have a specific diet that I follow. So I also look for certain supplements that I know I might be lacking in my diet. You know,
right.
I love my omega, but I hate fish oil. So I had to find an omega that wasn't a fish oil. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So really the ingredients are important, how they're working in my body. You know, I think it's making sure, another thing with supplements, I think you have to make sure that it's created to get to where it needs to go in the first place, you know, like so often with supplements that have to be stored in the refrigerator, but when you put them in your body,
I'm not a refrigerator.
90 degrees inside, what's actually happening in there, you know?
Right.
So just really finding something that worked well for my needs and quality ingredients. Like
very cool.
Being able to, first of all, if you can't find the ingredients on the website, that's a problem.
Right.
You know, you can't, if you go to a website and you can't find their ingredients or you really, really have to dig for it, I think that's an issue. So being able to go to the website, pull up the ingredient list, see everything that's in it, that has always been super helpful for me. And, you know, I mean, I feel like so many people are so quick to put supplements off because they can be pricey.
That's a good point for sure.
Time, it's so much, it's worth it. Like, I just don't, you know, I don't understand why people have a hard time paying for their health, but like they'll go drop, you know, money on a dinner that's not doing anything for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Things can be pricey, you know, like especially when I was saying in high school, I went through the bout of all of these terrible for me performance enhancers essentially, right? And it was like $25 a bottle. But some of the stuff I would take was like $5 a bottle. And you think that that would have woke me up, but no. It claims to do all these things. And the bottle's $5 for like 150 capsules. You know, you just get this crazy caffeine burst and then that's it. So I do think what you said is very, very valuable. If you can go to the website and see the ingredients, I love people who plaster on it like, this is not FDA approved, like very large, you know, like it's not FDA approved. We want you to know this. We're not trying to hide this fact from you type of deal. Like to me, that's comforting. If that doesn't push me away, if anything, I'm like, okay, like I see you. Let me read more about this.
The ones that can make the claims like, oh, this will cure your insomnia or this can cure this. Like, but to me, it's like, that's their marketing. It's like, I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way, you know?
Yeah.
So I think companies that are honest and upfront and, you know, this is not FDA approved, but here's every single thing you absolutely need to know. And if you can't find it or you still have questions, you know, having like a customer service or a line you can call to get the information is also very valuable.
Yeah. Like Matt was saying, the customer service line is there for a reason. Let's utilize it.
Yeah, also the customers are there for a reason too, especially in this day and age with Yelp reviews and Amazon reviews and Reddits. People are not shy about telling you if something sucks or they got a product that had something bad in it or it gave them this. And I don't think that is the end all decision maker, but you know, Yeah, definitely let the consumers weigh in and dictate what is the best, because you have people out there that'll test their own products. You'll get some scientist consumer out there who's like, well, I can just test this myself.
And write this great peer review because his buddy peer reviewed it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that helps is when you can get some good, honest feedback from the masses that are taking the supplement. It kind of builds this big picture of a quality supplement.
And that's so important because if there is a product that's out there that is causing harm, the only way the FDA gets attention towards that product is from the consumer reports. That's how they gauge it, if it's safe or not. Because again, it's not a drug. So they literally, on the FDA's website, they say that we base whether or not we keep things on the market by what you tell us. So it's so important that we do that. It's so important. Allie, I want to jump back to gut health really quick. And then Matt, I have a couple questions for you. If there was one supplement, let's say everybody knows of probiotics, right? Especially if you're on a low carb, high protein diet, you need something to help your stomach, right? So everybody knows what a probiotic is. But would you say that there's one supplement that is pivotal for optimal gut health? And what would that be?
I mean,
like if you had to pick one.
Well, I'd probably pick my probiotic.
No hate, man. No hate. It depends on what your probiotic is.
Well, I think, again, it goes to being able to find the ingredients and the quality. Like, I mean, there's multiple probiotics, but, figuring out how certain ones work. For me, why I really, really love mine, and it's one of those things, like a consumer thing, like I, kind of was out for a few days and I could tell, like I could just feel a difference in my overall, like, well-being, how I was carrying myself, how I felt, like how my brain fog was, like certain things like that. And I think it's super important to have, because again, like gut health in general, I have found over studying that a lot of times we have dysbiosis in our gut. Basically, our balance of the good to the bad is off. And a lot of times we have this inflammation in our body. There's candida overgrowth, the yeast, it's overgrowing. So for me, I needed, I've always had like psoriasis, and growing up, I did everything I could to hide it. I used every medicated shampoo. I did every scalp treatment I could do. It was horrible. And then working in a salon, it was even more horrible.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
So, but not knowing then, I had no idea that something like that, a condition like that, was like connected to my gut health. And once I finally found a regimen that worked for me and something that was quality, something that was actually able to go in and break things down and get out the bad and help to actually balance out the good, like I don't have psoriasis anymore. And I never would have put that connection together until
because you accepted that as normal. That was your normal, and you just had to learn.
I don't know. Never.
So
realized.
What would you say? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
What would you say are like the top 5 shocker things? Like you don't have to give me 5, but like the top couple things that are connected to gut health that people don't really realize are connected to gut health. I know chronic fatigue is huge. So many of my clients almost every single one of my clients, chronic fatigue. I have people coming in the door. Can you help me with chronic fatigue? What should I eat? What should I eat? What should I eat? Even people on super clean diets.
Yeah.
With chronic fatigue, right? So are there things like, I don't know, I would go so far as to say like sexual performance. Is that affected by gut health?
Absolutely. That can 100% be a factor. Certain like skin conditions like psoriasis, like eczema. And, I see it all the time we're on Facebook, we're in moms groups, and I always see people posting pictures of their kids and like, oh, what's this rash? And I'm like, oh, what's their diet like?
Right.
What did they eat a few days before that rash came up? So skin conditions, sleep is huge too. Huge.
Yeah.
I never thought I was struggling with sleep. I mean, I have 2 kids, so I'm a light sleeper.
What is sleep? What is sleep?
Right. Yeah. Right. Until I actually introduced a really good omega and figured out, okay, let's take this before bed. Now I tell people that I like hibernate sleep almost. Like sleep is impacted so much because, your gut is creating melatonin, your gut creates serotonin. So your mood I wrote something down because I have this book, it's in the other room, but it's basically all about the gut-brain axis and the connection between essentially your brain and your second brain. Because your gut is essentially your powerhouse, you know? I was doing a workout the other day and it was a core one. She was like, oh, your powerhouse. And I was like, it really is like
really
powerhouse. You know, do everything. And it said, what did I write down? So basically, it can impact your mood, anxiety, depression, because depression is often caused by chronic inflammation. And it can manipulate even your cravings, your moods, and gains control then over your behavior even. And I feel like I see that in kids a lot, who have, you know, ADHD or ADD. And I feel like for me, it gets to the point where I'm like, you don't want to be that person, but I'm also like, well, what's their diet like? Oh, it's
Yeah,
my
you constantly want to know.
You know? I'm always like, what's their diet like?
Yeah. That, I mean, it's a scary thought, but I mean, not scary. I wouldn't say scary. It's saddening, to be honest. It's saddening, especially with what I do, counseling people on what they eat, and they come in and they're telling me what they're putting in their bodies. And I'm like, well, babe, no wonder why you can't sleep or your body hurts all the time, right? Like, you can't eat 2 eggs in the morning and then go ham on some KFC for dinner. Like, and that's all you ate that day. You can't, it doesn't work, you know? It's very imbalanced. I know. Where's the magic pill? Where's the magic pill? So Matt, I have a couple questions for you. This is like, feels very interviewee, but I'm okay with it. I'm here for it. Can you tell me how you became interested in training, and why do you think it's important we train and exercise regularly?
Oh, yeah. So I was first turned on to lifting weights growing up as a boy. Just loved the Hulk, loved Arnold Schwarzenegger. Me and my dad would watch action movies with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, the bigger the better then.
So it was like, and you know, I was a bigger kid, you know, like I was broad shoulders, hit a growth spurt faster than everyone. So I just felt it was my calling to lift weights and be a giant. So I started lifting weights with a very bodybuilder style approach. You know, your typical like 5 meals a day kind of thing. I did that primarily all through high school.
Really?
I started young. I started in middle school. My first weight I was lifting in like 8th grade. I wasn't eating like that yet because I didn't understand. But then in high school, I was really just like trying to be a bodybuilder.
You were the guy in high school like eating in class.
I used to ditch class to eat chicken, to be honest. And there's people we can contact that will speak to that. But yeah, I mean, I used to bring like 2 or 3 chicken breasts to school a day. And to me, I just didn't think anything of it. I was like, this is just what I like to do, and this is how you do it.
Yeah.
So as I got older, and Allie, you touched on this similar experience. I saw both of my parents go through cancer, kind of like at different times, and then it overlapped at one point. And then that just led to a lot of curiosity and questions. And then taking a look at myself, you know, I grew up overweight. Luckily, I hit a growth spurt and leaned out. Still like probably more body fat than I needed throughout those years. And then I was like, you know what? All this lifting weights is great. It really is. It has mental health benefits.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But there's got to be more to this whole this being active thing. And what is health? You know, like should I start trying to preserve my health? Should I even care about it? So
such a confusing topic.
What's that?
Health is such a confusing topic when let's say you've been accustomed to something like you're high protein all the time, you're skipping class to eat chicken, and then somebody tells you like that maybe that's not the best way, and you're like, what? Your whole world is flipped upside down.
Especially as an 18-year-old male, you're indestructible.
Yeah.
You know, you can eat Taco Bell every night and you're gonna win.
You're fine. It's fine.
Yeah, so it really it spiraled from that into a list of questions I had. I started getting very curious, and then I even noticed that it like trickled down into my training. So now I started getting into martial arts, just because I was like, oh well, having muscles is cool, but like, what can you do with your body, right? So it's like, oh well, you can test the limits of your body through physical stresses, but maybe if you give it the right fuel, you can really push the limits. And then just like everything just starts piling on as far as the information. And when you're already enthused about it, you're just like, oh, wow, I'm down the rabbit hole and I'm never coming back.
You feel like a mad scientist. You really do.
Absolutely.
And you feel like nobody else gets it, but we get it. We get it.
Don't get it.
I feel like I'm in the trust tree right now. So
Yeah.
I can confidently tell you that I'm making my own supplements at home.
Yeah.
And like my parents are like, what are you even doing? And I'm like,
You don't need to know.
Let me do my thing. I know what's happening.
I remember so many like family get-togethers. Like I said, I have a strong Italian family, and so many get-togethers. My dad would be like, don't worry, honey, I made you a grilled chicken breast. Like, you can still come, type of deal. Just being that, like, because it does take over, Allie, like you're saying, it does start to manipulate your behaviors, whether you're good or bad on, it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on.
Right.
It starts to manipulate pretty much your lifestyle. So I think finding a balance in that, like Matt, what I'm hearing is you found a balance. When you're telling me how once you got curious, you found the right balance that works for you specifically, right? Because you can maintain, it's not this peak and then this crash, or this peak and then trying to sustain these unrealistic expectations or performance expectations. Like, you're not going to break a personal record every single day. You know what I mean? And when you're 18, I know, but when you're 18, you can do like 3 in a week and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So when you were growing up, Matt, did you supplement a lot? Did you think about what you were eating? Did you think about let's say if you were doing probably protein powder is my guess. Did you even think about what was in your protein powder in the high school days?
So during that time, since everything was bodybuilding geared, right, I really just cared about proteins, carbs, and fats.
Okay.
And my supplements were pre-workout and recovery and protein, right? Protein. I want muscles. I think the extent of what I cared about was the type of protein I was getting. So like the difference between like a whey and a casein and an isolate, things like that. Not so much, I don't think I was open or informed enough yet to really understand like where does my protein come from? I think I was still at the very younger part of that story, or early part of that story, where I'm like, all right, I know what I need to get, right? So I think I know what I need to get. Let me experiment, make sure I'm getting the right stuff first. And then as the years got on, I'm like, okay, well, where is this coming from? It's because it's hard for people to go from not having we'll use protein supplement as an example, not having one, also finding out they should take one, and then going down what we've been talking about the last hour.
Right.
Is your product from China? Does it have steroids in it?
Does it have steroids in it? The fact that we have to ask that, right?
Right. So, it was just, it took, I guess and I didn't really have anyone coaching me through this. It was just me asking questions, and talking with people, figuring out what they do. And, it's kind of a learned process over the years. So growing up, really, again, it was probably what I was bashing earlier about, marketed supplements. It was like a lot of muscle tech pre-workout stuff.
Yes, muscle tech.
Is it going to give me bicep veins? And let's take 2 of them.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. I think we've all had that moment of like a little too much pre-workout, that experience where this is it. This is how I die.
The handshake, the jitter.
It's, and everything is shaking and you're in the gym. You think that once you get started, like it's going to be fine, but really like after your first set, you're like almost convulsing. Like, this is not great.
Yeah, it's a combination of feeling like you're going to save the world and simultaneously die.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that perfectly explains it. Yeah, it's terrifying. So I would just want to say to like any 18-year-old out there that's taking whatever protein powder you can from Walmart or whatever, please take a lesson from Matt and ask questions about it, where it comes from. Is it the right kind of protein? There's so many different kind of proteins that you could be eating, let's say 250 grams of protein a day to maintain, but it could be totally the wrong kind and you're not getting any amino acids that you need, right? So just dive into that, ask questions, look into the different brands. And become friends with the GNC guy. The GNC guy got so tired of talking to me, you know, and again, this was from the lipo-6 hydroxy cut phase into today. I'll walk in today and just be like, so tell me, do you think that these two things will benefit? Like, and half the time they don't know. They'll just be like, you know, you should just call customer service because they're just there to do their job, but become friends with them, you know, like ask the questions. Don't just buy something because every body is different. Allie could take something that will aid her wonderfully for her workout, but will make me sleepy. Every body is different, and it really goes back to your blood type. It goes back to genetics. So just don't take a claim for truth is all I'm saying.
Right.
So take the claim that this is going to make you blah, 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 because it might not work for you. You know, that doesn't mean that omegas don't work. That means you're not taking the right one, right? So do more research type of deal. So Matt, we talked about your diet back then, essentially very, very common, very, I would say primary. You said carbs, fats, and proteins for bodybuilding. What's your diet like now? Is there a specific diet routine that you stick to when you're training? Is there a preferred eating method for you, or is it just kind of, you know, general?
Yeah, I feel like that could be a whole other Zoom call.
I know.
Because one thing I advocate is experimentation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
even experimenting just with different foods, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you might not, you know, maybe you have never taken a food allergy test, or maybe something didn't show up and you've been eating it forever, and then it left your diet and you're like, oh wait, I feel maybe better or feel different. So how do I answer that? Where do I start? I think over the years I transitioned into a low carb diet.
Okay.
I tried that for a while, just for probably months straight, right? Just low carb. Everything was low carb. Because I had like, I want to burn some body fat in my mind, you know. I think then eventually that turned into the keto craze that's out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an advocate of the keto diet when done correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's first of all, let me say, I don't think there is a diet that's meant to be on forever.
Right.
I think diets are temporary, right? You should go through different phases, maybe where you're high carb, low carb, high fat, low fat, high protein, no protein. And this gets into a can of worms with fasting. I'm a big proponent of fasting. Tons of great stuff with that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of fasting.
Yeah. So what my diet looks like now, and again, it's modified to me. I've really like experimented with it and how it affects my training. So I look for health and I look for training performance. And so I experienced the low carb, became fat adapted over months. So where my body is really good at burning fat now. And then what I want to do was beef up the performance side. So to really do that, you have to have some type of glycogen in your muscles.
Yes.
And yeah, you can get some of that through being on a ketosis diet, but you can't perform at the level I like to perform at, which is a very intense level. You know, I like to do kickboxing.
18-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to preserve that youth. I like kickboxing. I like lifting. I got a big old kettlebell I got when the gyms closed down. You know, I'm doing sprints and stuff. So my output is high, and I realized that you can't fuel that just from a ketosis type diet.
Yeah.
So I started playing with carbohydrates a lot, and I think the main point I want to make for where I'm getting at with my diet is nutrient timing. So I think for the first half of the day, I'm usually low to no carbs up until my training. So I might have 1 or 2 meals for the first half of the day that are moderate fat, moderate protein. Or I guess they would both be high protein, high fat, because there's no carbs in there. So like an example would be like salmon with some spinach with a bunch of olive oil on top and maybe like a handful of Brazil nuts or something.
Sounds so good right now.
Listen, I have that waiting for my lunch tomorrow. So.
Oh, jelly.
So,
yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'll eat that, and then when it comes to later in the day, maybe when it's time to get a workout in, I'm like, okay, I don't really care about fat right now. I care a little bit about protein. I want some protein in my blood so I can keep that anabolic effect going. But I need some carbs, right? So I'll actually wait until my post-workout to consume my carbs for the day.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's again, that's opening up a whole other conversation on why and nutrient timing. But I've figured it's like the best scenario you can create for your body, the best anabolic scenario where a lot of the carbs you eat will be used to refuel that, replenish that muscle glycogen rather than being converted to be stored as fat, right? And mind you, I'm eating rice, I'm eating potatoes, things like that. So good wholesome stuff, starches. So yeah, and it's very tailored to the fact that I am working out. Now then there's times where maybe I'll take a week or two off weights, let my body heal up, and maybe I'll just do some cardio. I like jump roping a lot. I recently got into running. I don't know how y'all do it, but I am seeing effects. Like, yeah, I love sprints. I'll do sprints, but the whole jogging thing, you guys are crazy. Whoever's doing that.
It's just slow torture. I mean, power to you guys. The thing with running is it takes so long to get accommodated, like your body to accommodate to where you can sustain. It takes, at least for me, it takes me a week or two, probably 2 weeks to where I can sustain a 3-mile jog. Like, and if I stop, if I take one morning off, it's all screwed.
They say there's something called a runner's high, but I'm on runner's die. Like I don't.
It's not a thing.
So on those days, I'll probably, since I'm not working out a lot, I'm not using weight resistance training to break down my muscles. I'm just getting some cardio in. I'll probably wean off the protein. I'll probably still keep a moderate to low carb diet. I'll probably increase days where I'm fasting. Maybe I'm fasting for a whole day, 24 hours. Maybe I practice a 2-day fast. But I won't follow that maybe training specific day that I kind of painted earlier. So again, that just kind of to show you that I'm not always following a very strict diet for months and years on end. Like it fluctuates, it changes. Yeah, because it depends on what you're doing. Why would you eat the same for a workout program that you're not on?
And your body becomes deficient in things. The low carb, high protein is so popular. I pretty much lived that way my whole life, and then I did the keto thing, like you had mentioned. I love the effects of the keto, but I was finding, for example, my hair got very dry on the keto diet. I wasn't getting enough collagen. I wasn't getting enough just hydration. And your brain is such a fussy organ. All it wants is glycogen. That's it. So if you're on a low carb, high protein diet and let's say you're on the computer all day long doing work, or you're constantly, the fatigue is real. The fatigue is very real. So you do have to alternate. I'm so glad to hear that you do that. I'm so glad to hear that come up in conversation, because people don't realize that your body was made to adapt. The body will adapt to any demand put on it. If it's swimming, if it's low carb, your body is made to adapt. But sometimes we get too comfortable and then we become deficient. So it's important that you cycle like that. But it's important to cycle the right things.
Yeah, I know for me, like myself, even, and I feel like with women, like we go through obviously different seasons of our life. And when I was nursing my child, I had to eat completely different than now how I eat now kind of thing. And I feel like I've gone through different times in my life where I've had to adjust my diet because I was lacking or because I needed more of something. So I think it's important to not follow one strict thing. Like you can't.
Yeah. You just can't. I don't think we were really made to do that. Like our body, from the makeup of our body, we're not made to follow one way of eating. Like Matt was saying, experimentation is so important. It's so important. Experiment the timing of your food. Experiment what you're actually eating. There's such good food out there, whole good food for people, but they just won't eat it because it looks disgusting, but the benefits are amazing. So I would say definitely experiment and go with the seasons. Like Ali said, roll with the seasons, because like, for example, right now I can only work out 3 times a week because of work. Right. And it's not the workout that I want to be doing, but it works because I'm still moving my body type of deal. So I'm not going to eat, you know, like I would if I were lifting every night, you know. So it, like Matt said, you got to really pay attention to what you're doing and correlate that to what you're eating and when you're eating. Because I can't, if somebody were to come into my office, I can't say, here's the supplements that I would suggest in the eating regimen, because they might not be doing what I'm doing. You know, if they're not working out, you're just going to gain, you know, you're not going to gain the right way. Or you're either, you could be losing, to be honest, you can lose too much. Your body can start eating your muscle, right? So it's really important that you balance out there. Let me get back on track because, oh my God, I could talk to you guys for hours. Hours. We're definitely doing this again. Okay, so back to supplementation. This is crazy to me. So the main supplements that are sold in the US, we talked about, were sexual performance and weight loss or sports performance, right? Mm-hmm. So the statistic, and I think this was, this is 2015, so it could be different now. But on average, 23,000 emergency room visits every year for having heart problems from weight loss or energy products. So I know, again, all three of us are pro supplementation, but just be careful what you're taking, how much you're taking. Right. You know, a supplement is meant to aid your diet. It is meant to help alongside of. It is not meant to fix everything and to just rely on that one thing. Right. And I think what happens, even I've seen in bodybuilders that are my clients, I've seen in, it seems to be honest with you, it's a recurring trend I've seen lately. It's like women in their 50s, 60s that are getting that second win, that they're like, you know, I'm going to have a healthy rest of my life. And I'm like, yes, girl, you are. Let's do it. But then they start taking these supplements, which are essentially just speed. It's caffeine, you know, and B12 makes you feel good, so you want to take more. But then they start taking too much of it, and it has the reverse effect. It actually blocks serotonin. It blocks epinephrine in your brain. So all the happy things, your neurotransmitters are now performing differently from these drugs, and you become reliant on them. I call them drugs because they're easily addictable. Would you guys agree that stuff like that is, you can get addicted to like a, let's say like a hydroxycut or something like that? Do you think you can get addicted to that type of usage or overdo it easily?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, addiction's a tricky thing.
I know.
You know, it's you can definitely get addicted to the whole.
Or dependent. I should say dependent.
Yeah, like, oh, I can't work out because I didn't pop 2 fat burners before. You know, mm-hmm. And to go to your point, I'm a big proponent of when it comes to sports, like sports performance supplements is where the waters get real murky, right? Because technically you don't really need those types of supplements if you're just trying to be healthy. You know, those are really geared towards giving you an edge of some type, right? And when it comes to stimulants, I know that's a big one because people love pre-workouts with caffeine, you know, but I think you shouldn't have to take a pre-workout to wake up.
Right.
You should already be awake. So if you're not, it's like the same with coffee, like, oh, and I know this is crazy, but people are like, I can't function without coffee. I drink coffee a lot. I get it. Yeah. But you should be able to function without coffee or stimulants. You should wake up. You should be really able to hit it. And you should look at certain things that come from that background as like, oh, this is extra. And this isn't needed. This is a supplement. This is something extra I can take.
Yeah.
When it pertains specifically to like stimulants and things like that are in probably 95% of sports supplements.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. And I guess I keep going back to that because that's my main focus personally, academically, is sports medicine. So like those are the, when I think of supplements, my brain goes right to there because I know, or if there's somebody watching this who's abusing supplements, like I know the damage personally that it can do. So just be careful with that. You know, like Matt said, you shouldn't need it. They're great things to have in balance. Like it's awesome. I love my BCAAs, right? I love my creatine, but I'm not going to have 17 scoops of it in one day, right? Just be jacked all of a sudden. Just run around. The next Zoom call, I'm like, hey guys, what's up?
Yeah, sports supplements are very popular because, I mean, how many commercials do you see of creatine and how many commercials do you see of ashwagandha? You know,
exactly.
It's also just our Western culture.
Yeah.
We're maybe too vain at times, and we think more is better. Again, a can of worms, I go to a whole other conversation.
I know. Everything segues here. It's funny, like we're talking about how the body's a machine. Really, this whole industry is connected.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
It is, and the advertising of the supplements has so much to do with actually buying them. I saw a statistic the other day that was melatonin. Melatonin is a supplement that has actually been researched scientifically. Like they've done trials on humans. So they don't term it a drug because it's a natural occurring thing. Our body makes it naturally, but they've done research on that. And the spike that has gone up in melatonin sales is crazy just because of these scientific trials that have been done, right? So it's interesting to me to see the marketing on some things. Like I'll look at 2 different melatonin supplements. I take melatonin every night to sleep. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's in balance. But I look at 2 different things, and one will say extended release, super great, make you sleep so hard, and one's just like melatonin. But you look at the ingredients and they're both the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
So marketing has so much to do with what we perceive things as. And like you said, the Western culture, we are vain as a country. We are just vain people. We're me, selfish people. That's just our country. It just is. I mean, I hope everybody's doing their best to not, but
Right.
it makes you wonder. It does make you wonder about how the sales would be different if everybody had the same type of label. Like I picture in my head, if everybody had the same exact label, like if it were just as easy as writing ashwagandha, melatonin, creatine, like this, how would the sales differ? You know what I mean? Like, Allie, what do you see in your line of work? Do you see like if the product is flashier, does it sell easier? Or if it has like a prettier outlook, does it sell easier?
I would say marketing in general, because I do have like a marketing background, anything that's flashier, anything that's going to get people's attention, they're going to just be drawn to it. I mean, it doesn't matter what's actually in the bottle. As long as it looks pretty, you have the people that are going to be like, oh, that's pretty. I want that. I need that. I need that. They said this, so I need that. Like without even looking into what's in it, in all, I think, areas of marketing. I don't know, to me, I'm more of like an honest person. Like, I could never make a claim to somebody that, oh, like this would cure something and blah, blah, blah. Like, I just couldn't do that.
I know.
But I mean,
I know, and things when you see the large corporations doing it, like on the infomercials and stuff, I just want to like call, I'm that crazy lady at midnight. I just want to call and be like, why do you do this? What are you doing? Why do you do this to people?
Right.
I get it.
And I feel like that all kind of ties into like why our culture is the way we are. And like, there is no education on it. There's not really any real education on it unless you go out and do it yourself,
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been so cool. I feel like this was supposed to be about supplementation, but we're talking about all sorts of stuff. So supplementation, I'm sure, will be brought back in the next one, as will Matt. Get used to Matt's face, people, because he's going to come back and talk with us on fasting and a couple other things. I'm really excited. Do you guys have any like closing statements or anything that is really on the back of your mind that we've talked about that you're like, oh, I wanted to say that, but I didn't get a chance to because Jade won't shut her mouth type of deal? If not, that's okay. I just want to give you the platform for a second.
Yeah, there's probably so many things I wanted to say, but I just started sweating instead because it wasn't right for the conversation. But I guess in regards to, and to stay on track with the theme, right?
Yes. Yeah, please, food. Somebody, one of us stay on track.
I guess to give maybe advice to your listeners of like the concept of where we source our food and supplements. Start being a little more curious. And try to do a little better than just buying something because, like Allie had mentioned, because that's great marketing. Maybe ask a couple more questions. Ask the people that are selling you the product. Try to stick when it comes to supplements. Try to stick to manufacturers who are GMP compliant or something of that nature. I did want to note this. There's a difference between manufactured by and distributed by.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point.
So sometimes products will not list, they'll just say distributed by, and it'll be a company name. That's not who made the product. That's who
Right.
put the cool label on it and are, you know, distributing it. So yeah, just start playing with the concept of where does your stuff comes from? You're putting this in your body. Do you know where it comes from?
Yeah, exactly. Because we didn't care. I didn't care as a teenager. And I'm sure like if any teenagers watching this, they still don't care. You know,
Yeah.
like
No.
it promises great things. And honestly, it's sad, but you're just going to have to learn it on your own. Like I learned that taking 6 Lipo-6 in one day, God, Lipo-6 is going to hate me. They're going to email me like, girl, if you say one more thing bad about us, whatever. I learned on my own, taking more of it is not good for my body. And you actually get reversed effects, right? So please follow what Matt said. Ask questions. That's so important. Ask questions. Ask questions. Why is this the way it is? Well, why should I take it this often? Where does it come from? I think if we are all agreeing, if there's one big source or one big topic, it's find the source of where your supplements are coming from. Make sure it's a genuine, authentic, regulated if possible, you know, because some are. There's some good ones out there that are regulated, and that's wonderful. The FDA just has too much on their plate. They can't regulate every single supplement. There's too many to go through, right? So just pay attention to where it comes from.
Yeah.
Allie, what about you, babe? You got anything last?
I would just say, you know, with supplementation, you have to also understand that it's not the same for everyone, you know, whereas like when I help people, like some people, I have to have them start on a loading dose where some people don't need that much. I think, you know, finding the source and having somebody who knows what they're doing, you know, don't just buy something from somebody and then never hear from them again. You need to make sure you're working with somebody who's going to help you and contribute to your health and how you're taking it and how often you're taking it, because you can take too much of something too, like you said. You know, so I think being able to work with somebody like Jade, I think is, you know, awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That was going to be my closing, is that I don't say this because of what I do. I say this because growing up, I wish I had somebody that I could talk to about the supplements I was taking, or I could talk to that would give me, the only people I were around were like meatheads in the gym. You know, it was the guys from school at Planet Fitness at the end of the day, you know, like
I think I was one of those.
Yeah, probably. You probably were, you know, and it's just like, they're just going to tell you to take this because it makes your workout better. But you know, look for somebody to talk to. Reach out to, I'm going to plug these guys' information. Definitely Allie's. I don't know if Matt's going to let me, but we'll see. I'm going to plug their information and reach out, ask questions. If anything, ask the GNC guy. That'll be your go-to, right? Do some research and don't do it alone, because I was taking things I shouldn't have been taking together, too much of things. It's so important that you have somebody, even if they say, man, I know nothing about that, you should go ask so-and-so. It's important to reach out. That's what I would say. Well, thank you guys both. Thank you so much for being here. This has been really, really cool. This is our first informative correlation, people. How cool is that? I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So, yes. So like I said, I'm going to plug these people's info underneath our video here. And if you want to find more about us, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at CNCWP. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time. You two don't go anywhere. I'm going to stop recording, but I want to talk to you for a second.
Deal. Yeah. Thanks for having us. And thanks for doing what you're doing right now and letting people know what's up.
Right. Yeah. Right. Thanks for helping me tell people what's up. I appreciate that. I need all the help.